Russia carried out a massive attack on Ukraine's energy system. At the same time, Russia is facing a utility collapse due to severe frost, which the Kremlin doesn't admit. This is because all funds are going to the war against Ukraine. My name is Albina Pidhirnyak. More news coming up. Russia launched a massive combined attack on Ukraine. It used many ballistic missiles to weaken Ukraine's air defense. Volodymyr Zelensky showed a video of the attack on his Telegram channel. Volodymyr Zelensky shared details on his Telegram about the consequences of today's attack on Ukraine.
The response to the consequences of the Russian strike is ongoing across our regions. Once again, the attack was deliberately aimed at energy facilities. The Russians used a significant number of ballistic missiles in combination with other types of missiles, more than 70 in total, as well as 450 attack drones. The regions affected include Sumy, Kharkiv, Kiev region and the capital, Dnipro, Odessa, and Vinnytsia. At present, 9 people are reported injured as a result of the attack. Civilian residential buildings and energy infrastructure have been damaged. In Kiev, drone strikes caused fires in multi-story buildings and damaged a kindergarten. All necessary emergency services are working wherever possible. For Russia, using the coldest days of winter to terrorize civilians is more important than engaging in diplomacy. This clearly demonstrates what is needed from partners and what can truly help. Timely delivery of missiles for air defense systems and protection of normal life remains our priority. Without pressure on Russia, this war will not end. Moscow is currently choosing terror and escalation, which makes maximum pressure essential. I thank all partners who understand this and continue to support us.
Mark Rutte visited Kiev today. He said that Russian shelling is a bad signal.
Today, they themselves did not understand that it is necessary to help the Ukrainian people so as not to freeze. And what can be the response to the Russians after this strike?
Well, of course, this is a strike, in which there are more than 450 drones and 80 missiles. I'm not sure if it's the biggest blow at all, but of course, it's definitely one of the top 3 strikes on Ukraine, maybe even because of the number, yes, because of the number of ballistics, because of the number, yes. That is, it is the worst, that is, at least it is one of the top 3 shots. That is, it's terrible. And, as you said, this is exactly what happens during winter. Minus 25 degrees here in Kiev. We know that. There are also central heating systems. This has an impact on how people can keep warm. But what has happened in recent months also has an impact on water supply, electricity supply, in general on people who live their lives and cannot live it fully. And this is not about military goals, it is just creating chaos for innocent civilians, strikes on civilian infrastructure. Of course, the war itself was crazy, this attack by the Russians, which was unprovoked. But this is not even about military issues, this is about strikes on innocent civilians. I take it very seriously. I think that the president of Ukraine is fully ready to make an agreement with the Russians, which, of course, should be acceptable to both sides and, of course, to Ukraine, without a doubt. But, of course, this raises the question: are the Russians serious about it? I hope they are serious, and the President of the United States is doing everything he can with his team to bring peace, and I commend them for that. Great efforts were made, but this night was a very bad signal.
Russia is experiencing severe weather conditions. Moscow is also suffering from extreme cold and heavy snowfall. This video was filmed on one of the Russian trains.
And this is the Norilsk-Moscow train. I made it. I rented an empty carriage and paid for it.
The Kremlin doesn't admit that anything is wrong. They even say the weather in Moscow is fine.
Well, first of all, we do not observe any abnormal frosts, to be honest, in Moscow. In Moscow, the usual winter frosts. We are just used to the abnormally warm winters that we had last year, the year before last. And so, in principle, the usual temperature is for the beginning of February, let's remember. This is the first thing. But in any case, of course, the cold season is always an additional burden for housing and communal services. Throughout the country, all housing and utilities services are working in a special high alert mode and, of course, the relevant departments and the government attach paramount importance to this.
In Murmansk, for example, the utility collapse continues. Pipes are leaking everywhere. Water is flooding buildings, and in the minus 40-degree cold, it turns into icicles.
What is this? Mom. We are leaking. Look, Mom, think about it. Awesome. And from the other side? Awesome, awesome. Oh, it.
In the Irkutsk region, in the city of Budaybo, a state of emergency was declared because of a utility collapse. Local authorities are looking for outside enemies and are telling people not to talk to strangers on social media.
On January 29, 2026, an emergency situation occurred in the city of Budaybo, in the Budaybo municipality. Due to the low temperatures, the temperatures themselves are not scary, but the scary thing is that we had temperatures below 40 for more than a month this year. The winter is very harsh. There was a freezing of more than the soil standards, and at night, due to a small water intake, the main water pipeline, which went to several heat sources, a heated microdistrict, Sadovaya Street, Mostriad, and adjacent streets, froze. In view of this situation, an emergency regime has been introduced on the territory of the Budaybo municipality. Today, equipment, including gold mining enterprises, has been involved in heating this main pipeline, water pipeline, and work is underway to lay an autonomous temporary water pipeline on the surface. The situation is very difficult. It was decided to drain the water from school number 3, from the correctional school. These are social facilities, and it was also decided, and this work was carried out, to completely drain the heat supply, heating, water systems in apartment buildings that were powered by those boiler houses. As of today, we have deployed 3 temporary accommodation centers, and food has been delivered. At the moment, one person applied to the point, but just an hour ago, due to the fact that the heating in his apartment was already provided with electrical appliances, he returned to his home. First of all, I would like to appeal to the residents of the city of Budaybo, the victims. If you need any help, contact 112 through social networks. All our channels, therefore, inform you about the situation. In case you do not have such an opportunity, call me directly. Every resident practically knows my phone number, and all the necessary assistance will be provided to you. I would like to especially note those people who responded to the disaster that happened on our territory.
First of all, I would like to thank the heads of gold mining enterprises who provided both equipment and people and materials. I want to thank the volunteer movement that is actively involved and delivers water and the necessary materials, things, heaters for those people who need this help. I would also like to note all the residents of Pidhirnyak who joined the assistance. I also want to appeal to the residents of the city of Pidhirnyak district, to be more attentive to the information that is posted on social networks, on the internet. Please focus on official publics, official media, speeches, or information from officials. Today it is already clear that there are provocateurs who are trying to make the situation worse. Be careful, do not communicate and do not respond to those people you do not know, or to those people who do not have a full name in their nicknames. Do not let the situation get out of control and cause panic. Today, all the forces and means are there, the work is underway. The situation, of course, is very difficult. We have never had anything like this before. The municipality, I want to immediately appeal to the residents, was fully prepared for the heating season. All municipalities of the Pidhirnyak district received certificates of readiness. All heat sources are in operation, everything is ready, coal has been delivered, the staff has been selected, trained, but today there is a force majeure situation. Once again, I want to tell everyone that due to abnormally low temperatures, one of the sections of the central water supply system froze. Today, work to restore the supply of water and heat sources continues.
Meanwhile, in Russia, apartments earned through the war are being taken away from Russians by their own fellow citizens.
I am the wife of a serviceman, an active officer of the aerospace forces. He is currently in the NWO. Oh, we did not have our own housing. We lived in service apartments. At the end of the 23rd year, we received a subsidy from the Ministry of Defense for the purchase of our own housing.
Aha!
We were looking for an apartment, found a suitable option. The transaction was registered in Rosrista. After the seller received the money, he stopped getting in touch. And only 3 weeks later, he sent us an SMS message that the apartment was seized, and he would seek the cancellation of the purchase and sale agreement. And it turns out that after he received the money, he immediately went to the police to write a statement that he was allegedly deceived by scammers. In the course of the court proceedings against us, the prosecutor acting as the prosecutor of the city of Shelkovo comes out with a lawsuit, and in his lawsuit he indicates that the seller allegedly did not receive any money at all, although we have a receipt from the seller in his hands that he received the money in full. Unfortunately, we lost the court of first instance at the end of August this year. And all this is only because the medical examination, which was made, indicated that on the day, specifically the date, on the 27th of February 24th, the seller did not understand the meaning of his actions. A former officer, not only did he also graduate from the Irkutsk military school, just like my husband, and it arose, a kind of trust in him.
A kind of chemistry, right?
Yes, what will happen to us then, to our family? We are a large family, and I do not know what will happen to my children, where we will live.
A large family, a dad in the SVO. And as a result, it turned out to be such an amazing
Dear viewers, thank you for watching this video, for your activity in the comments and for liking the video. Stand with Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine.